How are you doing, folks? So obviously, if you're familiar with this channel, you most likely have a few of these floppies, and I've recently recovered a lot of my old boxes of floppies. I don't know how many, like most Amiga collectors, I have a ton of these. I have a ton of sample libraries and mod libraries, stuff I used to make when I was a teenager. I was able to recover a lot of them by simply cleaning them with this tool. It's just a 3D printed tool, and it's a very simple process. In this case, it's just a matter of putting the floppy in the case here and using this tool to turn the floppy inside, and with a little cotton swab and a little bit of a isopropyl alcohol, you can clean your floppy. And I've managed to recover most, actually all of my old Pro Tracker and Med modules that I did, and most of my sample library, so I need to archive these. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. What's going on? What's going on? Execute Route 66. You're not, I'm not, it's not it. They offer PCB manufacturing and part assembly, of course, but they also offer a number of other services like CNC machining, metal sheet fabrication, 3D printing, and even injection molding. Pretty much anything you need for all your projects. Go to PCBWay.com, upload your project files, and get an instant quote. And thank you to them for sponsoring this video. I'm a Space Lord. That's not what it's called. But there's always, every now and then, a couple of floppies that are a problem. Usually on files, it's an easy job because you can actually save most of the file of floppies, and wherever there's a track that's, you know, not quite working well, you might have lost one file or part of a file, but it's not too bad. But on games, on stuff that auto boots and has its own whatever format or way of doing things, it's much harder to save these. And I have a pile of original game floppies that just aren't quite working anymore. I tried cleaning them as much as I could, and nothing worked. So I tried a new method, a new way of fixing these, and it worked for these three. So these trees are working again. They were corrupted. The disk was completely gone. So what happens very often is, if you look inside a floppy, actually, it might be easier if I open a floppy already. Now, we'll take this one. This is one of the floppies that isn't working from the ones I got. I managed to save all the files, bar a couple. These were samples. So the goal is going to be to take the actual floppy from inside here and to transplant that in, say, Shadow of the Beast, and use this copy to then burn a new image onto whatever disk we can salvage. I'm not going to do it with this. This one is sacrificial because I know it's not working. It's completely corrupt and it's heading straight for the bin. But the way I like to open these is, if you look here, there's a small edge. Let's see if I can zoom in. So inside is our disk, and our disk is essentially this guy. This is one of the ones that was too far gone. So it sits somewhere here inside. So I think I found that the best way to open this is actually to open it from here and here. If you try to kind of cut from here, there's a chance you might damage the disk. Here, most likely you won't reach or not too far in. So I like to essentially just slightly open this, and this will break some of the tabs inside, but that's okay. So this requires a little bit of persuasion sometimes, and I'm doing this through my phone, so I'm going to try not to cut myself. This corner can be a bit trickier, and some floppies will give you a bit of a harder work than others. Let me zoom out again. One thing you can do is, especially here, I'm trying to open it completely, but sometimes you can just open and slide the disk out. One thing you can do is first remove this. So there is two little tabs. There's one here and one here, and these slide on this kind of groove here. So we can disconnect one. And you want to be gentle, usually doing this. So we've disconnected this one, and this one is held by a little spring that resides in this groove. I'm going to show you in a second. This here, this guy here, is essentially where your spring is going to rest again. So there's a spring here, and this is what actually helps close your floppy for you. So it just pushes the metal back in place. This is actually easy to take out, to remove completely. You can remove it by just grabbing it like that, and this should slide down. So to put it back can be a bit fiddly, but what you do is you insert it in this groove here, leave it down like that. It's going to stick out, and then just leave it to rest against that groove. Anyway, this was just to show you. I'm not going to be as gentle now because we're destroying this floppy. Just want to show you what else is in there. So two things can happen that will destroy your floppy. First, finger marks, but more importantly, its age, mold sets in, and sometimes you just can't recover anything. You can't clean it enough. I think there's sort of what this is made of has an organic compound that mold can grow on. So when it's too far gone, sometimes that's it. The other thing I've experienced, and this is the case with this one, if you try to look here, and if I turn this guy, so if I try to move here, you can try. It's hard because it's so it's so glossy, but the floppy isn't moving. This is because there you go. Over time, with age, the glue that bonds the floppy to this piece of metal, and that's funny that it happens just right there on this one. The glue that bonds the actual floppy to the metal, you can see the residue right here. Well, disintegrates. It's just gone. There's no glue there. There's no bond between the two. You could technically, I suppose, glue them back together, although now I've put all my greasy fat fingers. There's nothing that wouldn't be cleaned up. These are surprisingly resilient, but that bond is gone. And this is why you get floppies like this one that just don't spin, don't work, are pretty much useless. So, like I said, I'm going to carefully open this, extract the old floppy, and burn a blank, brand new floppy, or maybe one of the floppies that I managed to recover and save and that I know work well, and put it in there. So let's get going. Alright, so I got the floppy removed from this guy. I had to remove this as well to give me a little bit of flexibility in the plastic. I could only break the plastic on one corner right here. The rest here doesn't look like it wants to come off without completely breaking, so I will leave it at that, and we'll do our best. What we might need to do is sort of pry it open slightly in order to reinsert a floppy afterwards. But for now, we can put this aside. Also, it's a good idea to save as you go through floppies, if you can. If you're throwing some floppies, just save these guys and these little tabs, because they go flying off every now and then. You'll be happy you have spares. So now we're gonna take a blank floppy. So I have some here from this pile that I can reuse, and we're going to use a new image of Shadow of the Beast 2 using a floppy drive and a Gotek. I have these two here. This is an external floppy drive and external Gotek. It's just for the sake of demonstration. I could use my internal floppy drive as well. So we're gonna get an image of Shadow of the Beast. You know where to get them. I'm not gonna provide links. Put that onto our USB stick and Gotek, and then boot into this copy. Alright, so I have set my Gotek to this copy, and I love the Christmas version for some reason, even though it's in German. I don't read German, but I know my way around this copy at this stage. We'll then set so this is drive DF2. I will set it to our image of Shadow of the Beast. and we're gonna let this run. The floppy's not copied. I want to check that it boots properly. Now, because this is obviously a one of the ROMs that is available on the internet, and it's fine because I own the original floppy disk, but it's probably a cracked version, meaning we'll most likely get a small intro at the beginning. That's the trade-off. There you go, yeah. Okay. But it's kind of cool. I mean, to be honest, most of our versions had cracked throws, and there you go. So it's booting properly. So we're gonna transplant the floppy from here into this guy. So I'm gonna open up this guy as well. And just be careful, this is the one we don't want to damage. We can damage the plastic, but we don't want to damage the disc. And the other ones, and this one we didn't mind damaging the actual disc because the disc was being thrown away. We just wanted to save the plastic. This is the other way around. Plastic we don't care too much, but usually if you damage it, you also damage the disc. That's kind of how it goes. So we just have to be careful. And some floppies are a lot easier than others. I'm going to start in the corner. A good guide is to actually align this with the old floppy to see how deep you sort of can... Oh, this came easy. You can sort of insert your... There you go. I think we're good here, and we're going to try our best to take this out without touching it too much. We might need to clean the floppy afterwards. There you go. Another tricky part, because of this guy here wasn't being cooperative, inserting the floppy back in might be a bit tricky, and I might need to do this off camera because I just need to be able to focus and have access to everything while I'm doing it. No, this worked. Almost. I think we're good. There you go. And next we need to put our metal piece out, and little spring, where are they gone? They're here. So like I said, you put your spring right here. It goes inside there. They don't really have a side, they just oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's a little notch right here. So my advice is to practice with doing this with an old floppy that you don't need. And usually I like to just align it with the tab like I showed earlier. And there you go. Now it should click in place. And we should have a new Shadow of the Beast floppy. Let's just close this. So when you're doing this, well, you're left with a corner or two that can lift. Very often there's another kind of pop-in tab, so they'll pop back together. But you know, this is you got to be aware that there's going to be signs of tinkering with your floppy. But I don't know, there's something about using those old original floppies that I really like. So let's just try if this boots, if we need to clean, because we kind of touched the floppy a little bit. I don't think so. I think we're fine. That is promising sound. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, folks. This was just a floppy rescue operation, transplanting a new actual floppy into the shell of an original one. So I'm going to do this with the second floppy here, and call this one a day. I'm not going to do that on video. I just wanted to show you how you can rescue some of your original cases, at least. It's something I do very much like about having these guys, and I have a pile of them to rescue yet. So this is going to be my weekend. Anyway, folks, floppy rescue. I hope this was interesting. I do have, well, I've done these 3 already, and one of the Shadow of the Beast, so I don't need to do those. I do have another pile and some more. These are just the ones I brought here for now. Also need to check all my original boxes, see if they work. But this is going to be a project probably for this year, just rescuing all these original floppies and see if I can get them to at least boot. And I know it's not the original version of it. It's not the original exact original disc because it's well cracked, but I'm okay with that. Anyway, folks, I hope this was interesting. Thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, as usual, there's a Patreon and YouTube memberships, and there's a Discord if you want to just chat and, I don't know, show your floppies. Yeah, show me your floppies.